My selfish father pressured me to hand over my home to my golden child sister for her children, so I took one decisive step that made them face exactly what they had coming. I never imagined I'd be spilling this chaotic tale on Reddit, but here I am, a 32-year-old guy still fuming as I type. Let me set the scene for you. For the last decade, I've been grinding as a veterinary technician at one of the busiest animal clinics in town. The pay? About $65,000 a year. Not exactly a fortune, but I love my job. There's something incredible about nursing sick animals back to health, even if it means dodging claws, teeth, and all sorts of bodily fluids daily. The joy on a pet owner's face when their furry friend pulls through? That's worth more than any high-flying corporate gig in my book. Saving up for a house on my salary, though? That's been a marathon. Since my early 20s, I've lived like a broke college kid to make it happen. I shared a tiny apartment with 3 roommates, one of whom was definitely running a shady cheese smuggling operation out of his room. The stench still lingers in my nightmares. I drove a beat-up Toyota that groaned in ways no car should, and my diet consisted of bargain bin noodles and discount tacos. If there was a deal on instant ramen, I was first in line. Now let's talk about my sister, Sarah, 35, who's the human equivalent of an overfiltered Instagram post. Take every cliche influencer, crank it up to 11, toss in 3 kids from 3 different dads, and you're close. Sarah's all about her brand, hopping from one shady multi-level marketing scheme to another, always roping our parents into funding her ventures. Her kids, 8, 5, and 2, are adorable, but she treats them like props for her social media, dressing them in designer outfits for perfectly staged photos captioned, "Grateful Mom Building My Empire." Meanwhile, she dumps them on our parents to attend strategy sessions, aka happy hour with her MLM crew. Here's the deal. Sarah hasn't had a steady job since she bailed on her server gig at Chili's in high school, claiming the apron clashed with her vibe. Yet somehow she's always got the newest phone, a wardrobe bursting with luxury handbags, and funds for business trips to places like Bali. How? Our parents, especially Dad. Growing up, Dad's favoritism was blatant. If I needed sneakers for school, it was money's tight, kid. But if Sarah wanted a new laptop because her current one was so last season, Dad's wallet appeared like magic. I tried not to let it get to me. I focused on my own path, even if it meant living with roommates into my 30s while Sarah lounged rent-free in our parents' guest house. I had a goal: own a home. I scrimped for years, socking away every cent from late-night emergency shifts and extra hours at the clinic. While Sarah was throwing cash at her latest boyfriend's crypto scams, I was studying mortgage rates and home repair basics. After a decade of sacrifice, I finally did it. I bought a modest 3-bedroom ranch in a decent neighborhood. It's a fixer-upper with hideous shag carpet in the bathroom. Who does that? And a kitchen painted a blinding tangerine. But it was mine. The day I got the keys, I sat in the empty living room and bawled. Lame? Maybe. But after watching Sarah get handed everything while I clawed my way up, this felt like a victory. Oh, and speaking of handouts, here's where things get wild. 5 years ago, our parents gifted Sarah a stunning 4-bedroom house in the upscale part of town. Think gated communities and luxury SUVs. It was worth double my place. Guess how long it took her to ruin it? Under a year. She persuaded Dad to sell it to bankroll her latest venture, a bizarre mix of a smoothie detox line and a music label for her then-boyfriend. Surprise, he vanished with the cash. Now she's back in the guest house, rent-free, with our parents covering everything from her kids' private school fees to her monthly wellness massages. I kept my head down, slowly renovating my house. I ripped out that bathroom carpet. Seriously, why? Repainted the orange kitchen and started building a home office. Life was good. Then, last month, everything imploded. It was a brutal Tuesday. I just finished a marathon shift at the clinic, assisting with 3 emergency surgeries, including a golden retriever who'd eaten half a toy store. Think action figures and puzzle pieces. I was running on fumes and caffeine when I crashed on my thrift store couch. Then my phone rang. It was Dad, sounding overly cheerful, which set off alarm bells. "Hey kid, you home? Can I swing by? Got something to talk about?" I should have listened to my instincts. 20 minutes later, 2 cars rolled into my driveway. Dad stepped out of his BMW, which he calls the family car, but only Sarah drives. Then Sarah emerged from a shiny new Lexus, likely Dad's dime, teetering in heels that cost more than my mortgage payment. I should have locked the door. They waltzed in like they owned the place. Sarah immediately started nitpicking. "This decor is so bland." "Yeah, because I pay for my own stuff. These walls need to be ivory for my vibe." "They're taupe, but sure." "This room would be perfect for Caden's YouTube setup." Her 8-year-old doesn't need a YouTube setup. We sat in my rectangular. Sarah lounged in my armchair like it was her throne, still snapping pics for her stories. Dad cleared his throat, gave a nervous chuckle, and dropped the bomb. "Son, your sister's been struggling lately. Sarah cut in, all theatrics. Ugh, Dad, don't make it sound so dire. I'm just like rebranding my vision. She gave me this fake pouty look. My essential oil empire didn't vibe with my true calling. I'm sitting there, thinking about the $25,000 Dad sank into her oil business last quarter. But I held my tongue. Dad went on. This house is too much for one guy. Sarah's got 3 growing kids who need room to flourish. We think you should hand it over to her. I thought I was delirious from exhaustion. Like maybe I'd passed out at work, and this was a caffeine-fueled nightmare. Come again. Sarah rolled her eyes. Don't be so extra. It's not like you need all this space. She waved her phone, still filming. I need a proper studio for my content. The guest house vibes are tanking my algorithm. I looked at Dad, expecting a punchline, but he had that just give Sarah what she wants face. You're not serious, I said. Dad leaned in, all serious. We've thought it out. You're young, single, career-focused. You could rent a studio near the clinic. Sarah needs a stable environment for the kids. Stable? I nearly choked. Like the stability of the house you gave her that she sold to fund her ex's rap career? Sarah's head jerked up from her phone. That was different. Tyler's album was going to blow up. How was I supposed to know he'd bolt to Vegas with that TikTok star? Dad raised his hands. All, let's not dwell on the past. This is about family, helping your sister get back on track. On track? I laughed bitterly. She's never been on track. You've bailed her out of every mess. Sarah gasped like I'd insulted her entire follower count. I'm a girl boss running multiple ventures. Ponzi schemes aren't ventures, Sarah. Then Dad played his ace. Son, if you don't step up, you might want to rethink your place in the will. The room went quiet. Even Sarah stopped filming. Something in me broke. Years of watching Sarah get coddled while I scraped by, all the times I bit my tongue for peace. It hit me like a tidal wave. I stood, stormed to my office, ignoring Sarah's so dramatic jab, and returned with a folder I'd been keeping since she sold her house. Call it a hunch, but years of charting animal symptoms taught me to document everything. Let's talk about the will, Dad. Quick context on the folder. When Sarah sold her house, I started saving proof. Receipts, texts, her posts bragging about her investments. Paranoid? Maybe. But the clinic taught me to trust my gut. I slapped the folder on my coffee table, which Sarah had just called painfully middle class. The sound was oddly satisfying. Let's crunch some numbers, I said, pulling out the first page. The house you gave Sarah in Crestwood Estates, valued at $900,000. Know what she sold it for? $915,000. Where'd that go? Dad shifted uncomfortably. Sarah was suddenly obsessed with her manicure. I kept going. Let's see. $60,000 for Tyler's music hustle. He ghosted her in 2 weeks. Then $220,000 for her essential oil flop, which she ditched because oils were so last year. Oh, and $280,000 for that scam selling vibrational water or whatever. It was quantum hydration elixir, Sarah snapped. It failed because people weren't ready for that level of wellness. I ignored her, piling on papers. The rest? Luxury purses, that Lexus she couldn't afford, and who knows what else. I hit Dad with the kicker. Here's the fun part. I had a realtor buddy check your estate's value. House, investments, all of it. It's worth less than what Sarah's house sold for. She's already burned through her inheritance, actually more than her share. Silence. Sarah's influencer grin twitched. Dad looked like he'd seen a ghost. So go ahead, cut me out of the will, I said, leaning back. There's nothing left to cut. Sarah lost it, leaping up. This is so unfair. You can't just throw numbers around. Money isn't everything. What about my kids' future? The kids you use for sponsored posts? I fired back. The ones you're pushing to be TikTok stars before they can spell? At least I have kids, she screamed. What do you have? A bunch of mangy animals in this cookie cutter dump? Dad finally spoke. These figures don't tell the full story. Your sister's ventures were investments in her future. Cut him off. No, Dad, they were you enabling her to dodge accountability. Again, now that you've got nothing left to give her, you're after my house, the one I earned without a dime from you. Sarah's tears were flowing, but angled for the camera. You don't get it. I need a space for my brand. The guest house lighting is ruining my metrics. Your metrics? I snorted. You mean the followers you paid for? Got receipts for those too. Her jaw dropped. You wouldn't. I pulled out more papers. 15,000 fake followers last month. Wonder what your sponsors would say. Dad stood, trying to regain control. Enough. This isn't how family behaves. No, Dad. This isn't family. Family doesn't try to steal your home. Family doesn't favor one kid while shafting the other. And family doesn't dangle an empty will as a threat. Sarah's mascara ran. Fake waterproof, naturally. She was still filming. My followers will hear about this toxic drama, she hissed. Post away, I said, holding up one last paper. But read this first. The contract you signed when Dad gave you the house, promising to use the money wisely. The one that makes you liable for fraud since you lied about your ventures? Her phone hit the floor. Get out of my house, I said, gathering my papers. Both of you. And if you try the will card again, these go to a lawyer. I thought that was the end. I mean, who'd keep pushing after that? But I underestimated Sarah's entitlement and Dad's enabling. The next few days were quiet, save for Sarah's cryptic Instagram posts about energy leeches and cosmic tests for abundance, clearly aimed at me. She posted from a spa day, Dad's treat no doubt, in yet another designer getup. I went back to work, patching up a sweet rescue boxer who's now thriving with her new family. Things seemed to settle. Then last Thursday hit. I was mid-procedure on a tricky cat tooth extraction, feline dental is wild, when my phone started buzzing like crazy. I usually ignore it during surgeries, but something felt wrong. On my break, I checked. Chaos. My neighbor Tom texted, "Dude, there's a moving truck at your place." Then Lisa, the nicest, non-Karen neighbor ever. "People are moving stuff into your house. You okay?" More frantic texts followed about Sarah and Dad hauling furniture in. I called Tom, hands shaking. "What's going on?" "Your sister and Dad showed up with a U-Haul and movers, had a locksmith, said you gave them the house. Seemed sketchy, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions." I felt sick. I told my boss I had an emergency, understatement, and sped home. My brain was racing. They wouldn't dare, right? Wrong. I pulled up to a U-Haul in my driveway, Sarah directing movers while filming for her followers, Dad chatting with a locksmith changing my locks. Her kids were tearing around my yard, yelling about picking rooms while her toddler doodled on my garage door with crayons. Sarah was too busy streaming to care. I parked, blocking the U-Haul, and stormed up. Sarah had the nerve to look irritated. "Why are you here? You're ruining my big reveal for my fans. I'm planning a whole home makeover series." "Ruining your reveal?" I snapped. "This is my house." Dad stepped in, all calm and corporate. "Son, since you're being stubborn, we're helping you make the right choice. You can't leave your sister and her kids without a home." "Without a home? She lives in your guest house for free." Sarah sighed, still filming. "That's not the issue. The guest house doesn't have a recording studio. Where am I supposed to shoot my Mindful Monday vlogs?" I pulled out my phone to call the police. Sarah grabbed my arm, still filming with her other hand, and said, cool as ice, "Go ahead, call them. But think, who'll they believe? The single guy obsessed with animals or the struggling single mom providing for her kids?" Dad nodded. "Think how this'll look, son. Just let her have the house. We'll find you a condo." I turned to the locksmith, who looked uneasy. "Did you check who owns this place before touching my locks?" He fidgeted. "They said it was family property." "Show him the proof," Sarah snapped. Dad pulled out some obviously fake papers, probably whipped up at a print shop. I opened my phone, showing the locksmith my deed, mortgage, and tax records, all in my name. His face paled. Sarah was still filming, ranting about toxic patriarchy and how I'm crushing her vision. Dad babbled about family duty, and that's when I made my move. "Yes, police? I'm reporting a break-in in progress." It was like watching a reality show train wreck, but with better lighting. Sarah flipped into full influencer victim mode. "Oh my gosh, are you recording this? This is literal oppression? I'm literally trembling." Dad cycled through denial and panic. "Son, think about what you're doing. We're family. We can sort this out." The locksmith was packing up like his life depended on it. I don't blame him. Sarah's oldest, Caden, decided this was his moment to shine, whipping out an iPad to narrate. "Yo, what's good? Welcome to my vlog. Today, we're getting a new crib, but my uncle's acting super shady." The cops showed up in 2 cars, and Sarah instantly went into damsel in distress mode, angling for the best shot. "Officers, thank you for coming. My brother's trying to make me and my babies homeless." But cops aren't her followers. "Ma'am, we need ID and proof of residence," one said, stone-faced. I showed them everything, deed, mortgage, taxes, license with this address. "Officers, they're breaking into my house, changing my locks while I was at work, moving stuff in." Sarah tried spinning a tale about family property, but the second officer shut it down. "Ma'am, got any legal docs proving you belong here?" Dad handed over his print shop papers. The officer glanced at them and sighed like he was grading a toddler's art project. "Sir, this is a Word doc printed on cardstock, not a deed." They ordered Sarah to stop filming and step outside. "A crime scene?" she screeched, hitting a note that probably spooked every dog in the county. "This is a family matter." The officer turned to me. "Sir, want to press charges?" Sarah's face fell faster than her last scam. Dad mumbled about reputation and his yacht club status. The cops were pros, taking statements from everyone, including the rattled locksmith who was ready to spill once he realized he'd nearly aided a crime. The movers showed their work order. Sarah claimed it was her rental property. Probably fraud, but I'm no lawyer. One officer oversaw the removal of Sarah's stuff, including a gaudy purple sofa. Dad was on the phone, begging his lawyer, who wasn't picking up. Guess those yacht club ties aren't so tight. Sarah's kids were still treating it like a TikTok challenge, with Caden vlogging and her toddler scribbling away. Then her 5-year-old Liam dropped a bombshell. "Are we going to jail like when Mommy stole from the store?" The officer's eyebrow shot up. "Ma'am, anything we should know?" Sarah's face froze mid-filter. "He's mixed up. He means when I returned something." Liam kept going. "But you said the guard was rude for not knowing you're a big influencer and Grandpa had to pay the store." "Liam, hush!" Sarah yelped, dropping her phone. The officers shared a look that screamed, "We're done here!" One called dispatch to check Sarah's record. Dad was sweating, trying to corral the kids and Sarah, who was spiraling. A mover approached me, holding a vision board plastered with photos of my house from old listings, labeled Sarah's Dynasty, in sparkly ink. "Where's this go?" Sarah lunged. "That's my manifestation board. I handpicked those gems for energy alignment." The officer stepped in. "Ma'am, all unauthorized items leave the property." "But I already smudged the space with sage." Another patrol car arrived. Liam's shoplifting comment? It dug up an outstanding warrant for Sarah. Turns out influencer status doesn't let you walk out of Macy's with unpaid goods, even if you plan to post about them. Her face when they cuffed her? Better than any filter. She still asked if she could pose for her mugshot. Dad was shoving his fake papers into his briefcase like a kid hiding a failed test. "Sir, we need those," an officer said. "These? Just old photos," Dad stammered. "Hand them over." The papers were a mess. Forged signatures, fake stamps, straight-up fraud. While Sarah was processed and Dad's documents were scrutinized, the locksmith pulled me aside, begging not to be charged. "I swear, they said it was family-owned. I'll fix this." That call would prove huge. Karma didn't just knock. It kicked the door down. I let the locksmith off if he gave a full statement about the forged papers, which turned out to be serious fraud. That sparked a bigger investigation. Liam's shoplifting comment? It unraveled Sarah's scam. She'd take brand sponsorships, order products with their codes, return them for cash, and post pre-recorded reviews. She'd conned over 30 brands. Dad's mess was even juicier. The fraud probe uncovered he'd been siphoning company funds to bankroll Sarah's lifestyle, her bags, the kids' tuition, that Lexus. He'd funneled it through a fake consulting firm in Sarah's name. He's fired, facing charges, and the company's suing him for every cent. Sarah's hit with multiple fraud counts plus the shoplifting warrant. The kids? They're the bright spot. Caden's dad, now remarried to a therapist and living in a cozy suburb, got custody. They're in therapy, public school, gasp, and seem genuinely happy. My house? Still mine. I've scrubbed the garage door, painted over Sarah's neon pink wall, and turned a spare room into a sleek office. The neighbors call my place Fort Knox now. Last week, Sarah sent a letter from her mom's place in Florida, where she's hiding from the press. She begged for legal fee help, swearing she's changed and wants to heal our bond. Offered to plug my clinic on her Instagram, which is down 80% in followers. I snapped a pic of her letter, scrawled "Nope" in red marker, and mailed it back. Sarah's hinting at a movie deal to play herself in a dramatization. I'm sure it's nonsense, but I just laugh. My house is paid off, my job's fulfilling, and I'll never find essential oils in my sofa again. Thanks for reading, Reddit. Sometimes the best family has paws and fur. So, what are your thoughts on this story? Do you agree with what happened, or do you see it differently? Let us know your opinion in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming stories. See you in the next one.